Hi everyone, welcome to the Finance Story, a finance-focused career inside media platform where we help people in finance, understand and make better career decisions. So today we have with us Akshay, who's going to be talking to us about the merger of his firm. So let me just give you a little bit of a backdrop. There has been a lot of positive encouragement for Indian firms to grow locally as well as globally. Okay, but the big question is how. Okay, so one way for Indian firms to scale could be mergers. We don't see a merger happening very often, but recently three amazing young firms merged with Kirtane and Pandit, which is one of the largest and the most reputed CA firms in India. One of them is Purandare and Narwadkar, a 12-year-old firm started by Akshay and Kunal. So to dissect Akshay's journey and of building the firm and how they decided to go ahead with the merger, vice versa, how did Kirtani and Pandit decide on them? Okay, and what was the prep involved, in making yourself available for a merger like this? So to help us understand all of those aspects, we invite Akshay for this exciting conversation. Akshay, thank you so much for joining in. Thanks a lot.
Hi, hi. It's my pleasure to be on this platform and to share whatever I could share about our experience of mergers and probably in terms of how we can prepare ourselves for the mergers and to grow our CA firms to be compatible with large size firms. So
Yep.
thank you, Amelia.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Akshay, and everyone watching, and if you have any questions, please type in. We'll also send you the video link and a concise version of the interview, so you understand what's happening and apply it, because I understand it's office hours right now. Okay, so Akshay, the first question is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know you qualified in 2011, and as a CA fresher itself, you started the firm. So rewind back and tell us why did you start the firm, and a little bit about your journey and background too.
Sure. So it goes back to the days when I applied for CA as a course, and I enrolled with ICAI for registration of entire CA course. Back then, it was a previous version like P1 and P2 versions of CA exams. And right after 12th standard, CA final classes used to start. So it goes back to that date when I enrolled for CA course. So when I enrolled for CA firm, I decided at that point of time only that I want to be in practice because whenever I heard about CA as a course, I got to know about what the power of simple signature makes into a attestation work by signing financials as a chartered accountant. So that kind of motivated me to be a chartered accountant, and I always wanted to be in practice. So after passing P1 and P2 exams, I decided to go with the articleship with a mid-sized firm, keeping in view that I wanted to be in practice, so that I will be able to gain more and more knowledge and have kind of scope during my articleship, which I can have a base for my CA practice. So I decided to go with statutory audit as my main focus area during my articleship only. Even though I was selected for a different department during my articleship and my articleship interview, but I said I want to be in statutory audit, and if you are considering me as an article student, consider me for statutory audit only. So it is back then the fate was sealed. I wanted to be in statutory audit, and after completing my articleship and CA course, I'm not a first attempt chartered accountant, but I'm successful chartered accountant, as I can say. So after completing CA course and articleship, I decided to enroll my firm along with my membership form only. So both my membership form date and enrollment of my CA form as a proprietorship was the same dates. So right after I started my own practice, but it was more of a kind of having experience what a CA practice could be. So I never had a background of family where professional firms are there. So I had to start from scratch, and kind of I started working with mid-size and large size firms on assignment basis. Started to have my feeling of developing small clients, having small work, like it starts from basic IT return filing, accounts outsourcing work, or doing some assignment work for CA firms, like even small assignments like working on a particular bonus payout working. So such small assignments started my practice, and I always had this feeling that I cannot grow my practice to multifolds on my own. So I always wanted to have a partner, and in 2015 I converted my proprietorship to a partnership firm. So that is how it became Purandar and Narwadkar as a partnership firm in 2015. And when my partner joined Kunal, we actually started developing more niche areas of practice. So from then onwards, we started developing and focusing on certain areas of practice where we both, as individuals, wanted to have a specialization, and we, as a firm, we wanted certain recognition that this firm is known for certain kind of work, certain kind of deliverables, certain kind of standards. So that is how that entire journey started.
Amazing, amazing. So, Akshay, how did you said you all started developing a lot more services and trying to build expertise in certain segments and services, right? So, can you
Right.
elaborate? How did you decide what services and how did you divide, the work or between Akshay, between you and between Kunal? Okay, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So basically, finding a right partner is a big challenge and big headache in this profession, because on different parameters you may not be on the same page, but yet as a firm you need to carry on. So finding a right partner is a very difficult challenge as a chartered accountant. Fortunately, I could find a right fit for my understanding and my ethical standards, and we both developed this practice over so many years. And see, finding a complementary partner or a partner with complementary services or complementary approach is more important than finding a partner who is mirror image of you, or finding a partner who is like you. Because if you end up in the same thinking as a firm, if two individuals are thinking same on same path, then there may not be a different perspective to the firm which you want to develop. So when we started working together as a partnership firm, we sat together and we decided what specialization we want to have. Like I said, right from my articleship, I always wanted to focus on statutory audit. So I decided to focus on statutory audit, and my partner has inclination towards risk management and internal audit. So he decided to go ahead with his likings. But as a matter of practical thinking, you need to do almost everything in practice. So it's not like when you start from scratch, even though you are focusing on statutory audit, you may have to work on accounts outsourcing, you may have to work on indirect taxes, direct taxes, or even any kind of different dynamic assignments where that could be only one time engagement and client may not come again to you. So that is how we bifurcated between the specializations which we wanted to do, and fortunately, we are continuing with that specialization even after we merged with Kirtane and Pandit.
Okay, that's amazing. Akshay, how did you meet Kunal? I know you all did your articles together, but what was the process of convincing him, or did he also want to start his own and it eventually happened? How did it happen?
Okay, so I'm quite senior to Kunal. So actually, I interviewed his articleship CV, and we worked together on some of the engagements. So when I asked him that, "Are you open to join me and start our own firm and start giving services which we want to give as a firm?" So he was immediately okay with it, and immediately he jumped onto the opportunities. We decided how we want to proceed, how we want to grow, what we want to do over next 5-10 years, and how we want to scale up over next 5-10 years. That is how it started. And when we decided to have our own firm as a Purandara and Narwadkar, we actually prepared a plan for next 5 years, where we prepared details like how many clients we will be having year on year, what kind of service lines we will be adding over next few years, what kind of employee strength we will be having over next few years, what kind of office infrastructure we will be having over next few years. So that is how we detailed working. We started developing our practice, and fortunately, if we still have those papers where we jotted down those individual points. We could, if we could see that that we have achieved almost all the parameters we wanted to achieve, because that is how our vision of the firm as a Purandare and Narwadkar chartered accountants was kind of uh, factored in at the inception level, where along with us two partners, uh, other employees, articles, and even in between we had one more partner. So we could achieve on the things which we have decided at the inception.
Wow, that's excellent. So, Akshay, did a merger was included in your plan? Did you all ever think that, you know what, we would merge with a larger firm? Was that a part of the plan, or it happened?
So basically, that was not part of the initial discussions or initial plan when we prepared our 5 year vision or 10 year vision plan. But yes, when we were working, we had so many offers from mid-sized firms and large-sized firms that why don't you merge with us? But we had decided that it is not the right time when we merge. Uh, the time will be right when we achieve certain goals which we had determined at the start of starting this firm. So going back to last financial year, we could achieve those things which we wanted to achieve as a firm together. And when that landmark was achieved, we actually sat together and said, even I still remember somewhere in the month of last August, when we finalized our financial statements and filed our IT returns, we sat together and we said that now is the time when we take the offers of mergers very seriously. So that is, I think that was the starting point when this entire process got started, because we were ready to have this merger process with our firm.
Amazing. Akshan, what was your goals? What was his goals that you all had in mind that, you know, I got to achieve this, this, this? If you could elaborate that for us.
Goals in terms of merger or goals in terms of own firms?
Own firm. Yeah, own firm. So when did you feel that, you know what, you set those standards and those benchmarks and you achieved it last year, right? And that's when you said, hey, you know what, we can now consider a merger. So what was those standards that you set and Kunal set for yourself?
Okay. So, in terms of parameters, I would just give you a brief idea about it. So, we all are from finance industry. So, first and foremost, things which comes to our mind is the turnover. So, what billables we could achieve, that was the standard benchmark we had decided. Then the profitability, then number of clients, number of employees. Because at the end of day, the employees which we are having within our firm makes us achieve those numbers. So employees and interns, whoever working with your firm, actually enables you to have this kind of numbers on your financial statements. So I think those were numbers we had decided that if we achieve those numbers, we will think about going into mergers or merging with large firms.
Okay. Akshay, can you tell, can you elaborate a little bit, you know, when you had your firm, you know, when you were the sole proprietor, right? And
Mm.
when you had a partnership firm. So how did you plan your growth, like, soon as it was in the partnership, first year, second year, third year, like, was it consistently, or you all set big goals in the start itself? And how did you all approach your clients? Like, what kind of clients were you all catering to?
So actually, practice is not like business. So when you start your practice, you actually have to nurture from the beginning, right from the scratch. So first, client does not come to you. First, you need to prepare yourself for the practice, the infrastructure you need to develop. You need to develop your teams. You need to develop your capabilities to deliver those services to clients, because chartered accountant services are very confidential and trustworthy services which we are giving to clients. So it could be filing returns, it could be audits, it could be setting up a company in India. So all these services are kind of considered very trustworthy and confidential data which you are working on. So when you are setting up your practice, I think having your staff, having your infrastructure, having right capacities to deliver the practices, it starts from that point, and then client comes. It's not like client comes in first and then you start developing those capacities. It's the other way around. So when you develop those capacities and when you are able to demonstrate those capacities, then only client will come to you.
Okay, okay. And what were the challenges like? How has the journey been? Like, what are the ups and downs which you could probably have navigated better, which you just looking at it today,
Hmm.
you could just elaborate on that aspect.
Yes, I just said that a practice is different from a business, but when it comes to running the practice, it's not different than a startup. So having your own practice is like having your own startup. Your IT head of your practice, your HR head of your practice, your operations head of your practice, and you have to develop your practice as well. So ultimately, it's like everything which comes to you, even though you are having two, three, four partners, ultimate responsibilities with all of those. So you have to have kind of detailed understanding of how you want to develop those areas in your firm. So like if you have a kind of structured plan that how I will develop those aspects of firm, then only you will be able to develop your practice around it. And as I said, the biggest headache of running a practice is to manage cash flows. So how effectively you manage your cash flows makes you a successful firm, because you have to pay salaries, you have to pay rent, you have to pay subscriptions, you have to pay for softwares. So how effectively you manage your cash flows is actually key to have a kind of effective practice management. And I'm sure most of the practicing chartered accountants will agree with me that managing cash flow is a biggest headache for a CA firm. And nowadays, that problem has changed to having a right set of people within your organization, or finding right people is a bigger challenge than managing cash flows. Earlier, 5, 10 years back, managing cash flow was a bigger challenge, but now that challenge has shifted to finding right people or right set of candidates for your organization. That has become bigger problem. So small and medium-sized firm, they are finding it very difficult to find right talent for their organization.
And the talent has become really expensive as well, right? Like really
Yes,
expensive,
yes,
too
yes,
expensive. Like we were hiring for someone with 3 years old and three years of experience. Their salary is already 25 lakhs. I mean, how
correct,
can mid-sized firms,
correct.
it's too
That is
expensive.
that is one of the biggest challenge I would say for CA firms in India right now.
So, any suggestions? How can one navigate it? Is there a way of looking at it that you've kind of discovered?
To navigate this particular talent acquisition
Yep.
problem,
Yep.
uh, I think there are a lot of things. Like I said, when I started my own practice, I used to do a lot of networking with chartered accountants. So I used to get a lot of work from chartered accountant firms which are bigger in size. So, like if you are having your practice developed over years and now you are finding challenges of having right set of people working for you, I think whenever you are networking with young chartered accountants or freshly qualified chartered accountants, or there are a lot of semi-qualified chartered accountants also. I think networking with them and finding them right for your assignment and delivering the kind of services which you want to deliver through them uh, is possible. Uh, yes, there are certain conditions when you do certain kind of work that you cannot hire outsider. There, you will have to have your own employees, but certain work assignments where you can have a deputation of work, that is possible to work with freshly qualified chartered accountants or even semi-qualified chartered accountants. over the years, when your articles pass out or they complete their articleship, and they may not be doing job with any corporate, so these people would also be available for you if you are still in touch with them. And it is always nice to have uh, your own articles working with your firm. So we over the years, we actually encouraged our articles to work with us even after their articleship. So a lot of people actually work with us post their articleship.
Amazing. That's really nice. Okay, so Akshay, I have this question. Okay,
Okay.
how can a CA firm, okay, like for instance, the salary compensation outside of CA firms, mid-sized firms is like soaring high, right? It's really increasing. Okay, but if
Yes.
you see mid-sized firms, the salary compensation is almost the same, like a couple of years behind, right? So why is
Right.
that happening? Why are mid-sized firms not able to generate that, pay that kind of salary? That's one. Okay, and you also said cash flow. What is happening in the cash flow part? Why is the money not coming in? Like, what's the hindrance? Like, the larger firms are doing really well, but the mid-sized firms, finding it very challenging.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
So I would say over years and years, the contribution is actually shrinking in terms of the services where there is no expertise required. Like, just to name an example, accounts outsourcing services. So for accounts outsourcing services, the profit margins or contribution margins to the firm are shrinking every day and day. So there, if you are largely dependent on those kind of services, I'm sure your margins would be very less, and you may not be able to find right people or hire right people in that smaller profit margins. But if you are giving any specialized services, like if you are rendering forensic audits, or if you are rendering IFC implementation services or risk management services, where you have expertise and you don't have lot of competition in and around you, so you will be able to maintain sustainable profit margins or contributions that will enable you as a firm to have right kind of people or spend right amount of money on the right kind of people. But if you are into more of a generic compliance oriented practice, then your profit margins are going down day by day, because there is a lot of competition, there are a lot of CA firms, there are lot of non-CA firms giving that kind of services, where they can afford giving these services with low price band. So it is very difficult to compete with them. And coming back to your second question about cash flow management, I think a lot of businesses had difficult times post COVID and during COVID. So their kind of business cycles got completely disturbed, and the billing to cash conversion time period had gone up substantially during those times. And I would say that businesses, even though things have improved, continue to have those extended payment cycles, even though that scenario is not there. So it has become more challenging that you convince your clients to go back to 30 days or 45 days payment cycles, and have right kind of cash flows available with you.
Okay. Akshay, what was your most profitable service line? Which really did well? Okay.
Okay.
That's my question.
Okay. In terms of a most profitable kind of vertical, I would say the things which came new into market. Like for example, when Companies Act came in, there was introduction of ICFR. So implementing ICFR was more profitable thing for us, because there were not many firms who used to do implementation of ICFR. So when we started giving those services, so there was a big gap between the firms who used to give ICFR implementation services. Either it could be big firms, or either it could be new firms or mid-sized firm who used to deliver those services. Small firms may not be able to give those services. So which the things which came new into the compliance scenario or practice scenario I would say the profit margins initially there are on very higher side, but in terms of having sustainable cash flows over here, I would say audit practice is one of the practice where profit margins are actually quite good.
Okay, 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 cool. So Akshay, now is about the merger part. Okay, everyone
Mm.
who has any questions, please type in. We'll address it. So can you tell us, like I know you reached certain, you had a certain goal, right? You and Kunal
Right.
together, and then which firms were approaching you, all you were considering them. But prior to that, that was not even a point of discussion, right? So,
Correct.
so can you tell us how did Kirtane and Pandit happen? Okay, and
Okay.
how did the discussion go, when did it start, and how long does this entire process take? Okay, and when we say mergers, like does the partners get paid out or it just merged together, and what goes into it?
Okay. So
Yeah.
there are different perspectives to it. Different deals maybe go differently. Different firms may go differently. There is no set parameters. As I said, merger is kind of a new thing in CA firms. ICAI has issued their rules and regulations regarding mergers and demergers of CA firm, because as such in the partnership act or even LLP act, mergers and acquisition has not been defined. So ICI had to come into picture and enable CA firms to be there in terms of global scenario, how they could compete with this global scenario. They had issued different mergers and acquisitions, not acquisition, mergers and demerger guidelines for CA firms. Coming back, how it happened with us, I think ICI had conducted a major event in November 22, World Congress of Accountants. So it happened in India for the very first time. Uh, so a lot of networking happened at World Congress of Accountant, and we met some senior partners of Kirtane and Pandit at World Congress of Accountants, and we both did our articleship from Kirtane and Pandit. So we had this kind of relationship with the partners or management of Kirtane and Pandit, and when that discussion started, we knew this is the firm we would like to go ahead with, because honestly we had other offers also which were there before Kirtane Pandit offer came in. So we had few discussions with those firms, and we had kind of a brief idea how this discussion goes. And the last offer which came to us was Kirtane and Pandit, which we took finally. uh, when that thing happened, we actually had made up our mind that this is the firm where we would like to merge, because uh, in terms of ethics, in terms of work culture, we were already aligned to them, because we did our articleship from that firm. So it started from World Congress of Accountant, where we met. Actually, I know a lot of people grabbed this opportunity of networking on the platform of World Congress of Accountant. I know a lot of people had a lot of synergies developed within CA firms, within two different CA firms, when they met at World Congress of Accountants. So that was quite an event which ICA had organized very successfully
Okay.
at global level. So that is how it started for us. And again, uh, how much time it takes, it depends. I would say for merger of CA firm, it will take entire cycle of closing your billings and delivering your services and converting it into cash. Uh, so it takes a lot of time. It's not a easy process where when you decide to merge with any firm and you close it within a month. It's not like that. There are a lot of factors: your clients, your employees, your partners, other firms' partners, how they are open for this merger thing. So it's a very lengthy process, I would say. I cannot say that it's a 3 month, 1 month, or 6 months time period. It depends, but it's a very lengthy process.
It's a very lengthy and a very time consuming process.
Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. So Akshay, you mentioned that you had a discussion with a lot of others who were approaching you for a merger, and you knew how the discussion flows. So how the discussion flows? What was different with this discussion and the other discussions that you had? Okay, and apart from the integrity part, and you knew the team at Kirtane Pandit. What else did you say? Hey, you know what? This sticks mark. What was your list?
Okay, there was no list as such. So we kind of went with the flow of discussions which we had with few other firms also. What we could understand in terms of standing in the profession, uh, we could I would say we have achieved some good things, which other firms acknowledge that we know you. So that was the big recommendation or big acknowledgement of our work, which we got during the discussions of merger with other firms also. So I would say that is a very critical point when you get that acknowledgement from large CA firms that hey, you are doing good. So that sort of word makes a lot of difference. So when we had discussions with other firm, it was more about financial discussions. What could be the financial terms, what could be the compensations, what could be the employees, what they could be getting out of it. So it was more of a financial terms with what we had discussed, but or kind of specialization services which we will continue after merger. But with Kirtan and Pandit, it was more of a kind of what we will do together as merging firms or merged firms. So actually, that made us think that this is the firm which is thinking beyond financial numbers. And honestly, those things come first about having synergies with the merger, and financial terms could be kind of last thing which you will think about going into merger.
Okay. So when you say financial terms, okay, so just to help me understand, okay, so when you talk about a merger, is it like an acquisition or you just, like how does it work? Like merger and acquisition, if you could just break that
Acquisition,
out.
I may not say that it's a kind of a acquisition. Yes, if you define acquisition as selling of your practice, then you can call it as acquisition. As such, there is no acquisition in terms of partnership firms or CA firms. But yes, I heard recently there are a lot of practices which were sold to a young chartered accountant because the proprietors or old partners of the firm never had succession planning of the firm. So at that point of time, they decided to sell off their entire practice to someone who is into practice just as a matter of someone to take care of their clients, someone to take care of their employees. So there, I would say it's a kind of acquisition by one of the firm with going out of business. But in acquisition, generally, what happens is the partners of two firms or three firms or four firms, they stay with the firm. Their clients stay with the firm. Their employees stay with the firm. The mere purpose of merger, I would say, is to have growth-oriented path, to have a global platform for the merged firms to give the kind of services which they wanted to grow. And it's more of a fusion of firms, I would say, where merger takes place.
Okay, okay. So it is not with the intention that, hey, you know what, I can make a certain amount of money. That's not the intention when you go for.
For us, it was certainly not the intention that we make some money out of this. It was always a kind of thing where we can achieve higher scales of professional achievement.
Okay. So then discussing the terms of how you be a part of the future growth and what you could, grow together in future, that terms made a big difference to you. Like that was your
Correct.
main point of
Correct.
interest.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So if you want to answer this, so there's no cash payout or something in it because we're in the world of startups. Everybody's investing, buying, selling. Everyone wants to make a quick buck, right? So
Mm.
in this, there's no money per se involved in a big way.
As I said, for CA practice, it's more of a professional growth rather than encashing what you have achieved. So when I said we decided to go with merger, it was more of having different services which we can give to our existing clients, or different kind of geographical presence which we can have to give our potential clients. So
Yep.
that was a more important thing rather than having a financial encashment, which generally startups or even kind of large companies are looking into market. But for CA firms, it is more of a professional enrichment, I would say.
Okay, okay. But if I have a CA firm and my sole intention is what, I build the firm to an extent and then pass it on to another big firm and I exit after some years, and I'm looking at revenue, I'm looking at money, right? That mindset is also possible, or as per ICI guidelines it's not allowed.
Yes, yes. There are ICI guidance when there is a kind of goodwill which is to be paid off to the partners. So yes, I would say that if you are not continuing as a partner, or if you are not continuing as a firm and you are giving it to someone, I think financial compensation comes into picture.
Okay, okay, fair enough. Cool. Akshay, like, would you want to, you also mentioned that, you prepared yourself for the merger. So, there are so many other small CA firms, young folks who are starting their own, now they're all going to start thinking, like, hey, how could I merge? Or how could I be acquired? Okay.
Mm.
So, what should they prepare themselves? I know it's clients and I know it's a lot of other factors, but if you could be specific and in depth, so it could be like a roadmap for them. Yeah.
Okay. So for a CA firm, to be prepared for a merger is very important. There are a lot of things which are being done differently by large firms compared to small firms. Like having your own HR is a very important factor. Having your own HR policies, having your own documented policies is very important when you are going into merger. Like there could be employees who are working with you over last 10, 15 years, so you actually don't know what is their leave balances, what are their gratuities to be paid off. When you are operating as a small firm, these things come at a very later stages when you start thinking about it. But when you are thinking about merging with CA firms, you need to be prepared on those parameters as well, because when the discussion starts, when someone asks you what is your leave liabilities, what is your gratuity liabilities, when you are merging your employees with us and you don't know that number, then it becomes very difficult that the firm which you are dealing with, they may think that hey, this firm is not having proper policies within their organization. Their employees are not used to have policies. That is also very critical. So when we say that firm needs to be prepared, I think uh, if you start networking with partners or managers of these large CA firms, you will be able to understand what things are being done differently by these large firms, and which you are not doing as a small or medium sized practitioner, like keeping your books of accounts on accrual basis as against keeping your books of accounts on receipts and payment basis. Those could be the difference between the two firms when you are merging. So there will be small parameters where there could be differences, but you need to have your own assessment how these differences could be aligned with the big firms when you are going into merger. So having your books of accounts, having your MIs prepared on monthly basis. Small and medium-sized firms may not be maintaining their MIs, maintaining or preparing your budget for next financial year, preparing your commitments, having your revenues mapped with your employees, like how much revenues you are generating per employee, how much contribution you are adding to your firm per partner, what are the contributions to the firm of your particular service line. Like for example, what is the contribution you are adding as a statutory audit partner, what is the contribution you are adding as a indirect tax partner. So those MIS, those ratios, those numbers are very critical when you are going into merger. So you need to have those numbers ready with you. You need to have those systems. You need to have those policies ready. within your organization and keep yourself ready for any opportunities which comes to you as a part of merging with large or medium sized firms.
Okay. And Akshay, what terms and what did KP, shortlist and say, you know what, this is the firm that we'll want to merge with. What was their point of view when looking at it? Because from what I see, they are also in the Pune. They're also in Pune, right? So,
Yes.
right. And even you are in Pune. So, like, how what were they looking for in your firm?
Uh, I may not be able to answer that exactly
Okay.
what you are looking at us, but
Okay.
I would say when any large CA firm is looking for uh, merger with another firm, uh, the parameters could be different. First and foremost, what partners are there when the firms are merging? What is the service line or what is the specialization which they have and they will bring to your organization? If, like for example, if someone is working into a public sector domain and the other firm may not be having that as a service line working with public sector domain, so while the both firms are merging together, that may be the additional line of service which the other firm might be thinking that I can offer this additional line of services to clients. So that could be the factors which the firm can think of from the perspective of synergy. The lines of services, the expertise of a particular partner, quality of human resource which you are having within your firm. That is also crucial. And most importantly, when we talk about numbers, I think continuing revenue is very critical factor. So it has to be a right mix of continuing revenue versus your one-time engagements. If your service is depending more on one-time engagements, then it becomes very challenging to bring those factors into merger perspective. Because every year these numbers will keep on changing. It may be on lower side, it may be on higher side. But if you are having right mix of continuing revenues and one-time engagements, it becomes easier to have a brief understanding when you are going into a merger.
Okay, excellent. Did you ever consider, being a part of an, say, international network? Was that ever, a choice or an option that you all had discussed? I mean, you and Kunal.
Uh, International network, you mean big firms,
Okay.
international
Yeah, big
recognized?
firm. Yeah.
So yes, so we always had this discussion about what if we get opportunity to work with international brands. So we were open for that. But what happens is, in our case, it was very easy for us as well as for Kirtan and Pandit to merge and gel together because we both had a kind of understanding of how things work within the organization. We knew partners of Kirtan and Pandit, they knew us. So it was more of a matchmaking made in heaven. But if you haven't worked with large firms previously, it may not be a possible opportunity for you because generally what happens is big firms will prefer to have partners who have worked with big fours or big six firms.
Okay. Okay. So, Akshay, what advice would you give? Okay, before I take that part, can you tell me how was it, communicating this fact to your team members? Because I understand you guys had, a perfect culture fit, you and your partner. But what about the team members? How did they react, and what were the factors that you took into consideration?
Actually, it's very difficult to talk to your employees about this merger because uh, today we are called one firm and from tomorrow we will be called different firm. We will be reporting to different managers. We will be reporting to different partners. We may be handling different clients which I'm not currently used to handle. So there are a lot of difficulties when it comes to your manpower or your human resources. Uh, but fortunately, we were able to have this person independent processes within our organization that even for clients, we made them easy because clients were also aware that this is not a person dependent service which we are getting. Today we are getting this particular review by some person. Tomorrow we may be having this reviewed by some other person. But they were okay because processes were not changed. Handholding was always there. That uh, I may not be asking the same question year on year again to the same client, or the different person comes in, he or she may not be asking the same question to client. So we made it kind of a person independent processes, and when we actually informed to our employees, they were excited to work with Kirtan and Pandit, because all along they have heard about Kirtan and Pandit from us, as we used to tell them during our leisure time about our articleship stories. We used to share our stories with them, so they were already aware, and they were already kind of brief background within their mindset, that this is the kind of firm which works on this kind of ethics, this kind of policies. So they had a brief background about Kirtan and Pandit with them. But what we did is we made it a celebration, and we actually told them that this is happening because of you, because of the kind of commitments you offered us. We
Yeah.
were able to deliver good services to our clients, and that is how the firm name is established in the market as Purandar and Narwadkar. And this is the same philosophies which are there in Kirtan and Pandit, and we will be there together as a firm. It's not like today we are there and tomorrow some different person will be there. So it's a kind of a merger where, along with partners, our clients, our employees, our infrastructure entirely getting merged into uh, this firm. And we actually made it a step by step approach, and we never implemented a cutoff date that from this date you will report to this person, all employees will report to that HR. So when we made a first tranche of transfer to the merged firm, we actually got to understand what are the challenges. It could be a different timesheet cycles. It could be different parameters maintained for timesheets. So those things, procedural things, we could know in the first tranche that these are the challenges we are facing. So we made our employees and staff aware about those challenges. We again aligned them to the new things which are there, which we need to adopt as a firm. And gradually they accepted to be a part of Kirtan and Pandit, because at the end of day they are getting a big brand name on their CV.
Yeah.
They are getting they are getting the opportunity to work with large size clients, uh, which Kirtan and Pandit always has. So for them, from their career perspective, it was always a good opportunity for them, and I'm pretty sure most of them accepted this opportunity and grabbed this opportunity with both hands.
Okay. And how is it for you and Kunal? You know, like for the last 12 years, you'll introduced yourselves with your firm's name, right? And now I know though you're super excited, you know, it's a new firm. So was that a little nostalgic? Like how was it?
Uh, Actually, we never thought when we were planning for our firm that one day we will be known as a different firm. But going up and going into client places and presenting our profile to them, uh, as a Kirtan and Pandit, it actually gives us a sense of pride that where we started our journey as a chartered accountant or budding chartered accountants during our articleship, and we are actually presenting our profile as a partner of this firm. It actually gives us a sense of pride, and a lot of uh, clients actually come back to us, and they are actually congratulating us that when you started your own practice, we never thought that you will become that big. Of course you were giving good services, we were happy with you, but when you are presenting your brand as Kirtan and Pandit with the same fashion or same passion, we are actually happy that we will be getting brand name of Kirtan and Pandit, and you as a delivering partner or service partner to us.
Wow. It actually came full circle for you guys. You want to have some water? You can have some water. That's fine.
No, it's fine.
Okay, Akshay, I have my last question for you. What advice would you give, others who want to get into CA practice? Should they get into CA practice or should they look at other opportunities? If you were 22, 23 today, would you take the same path or what would you do differently?
Okay, so if you want to start your own practice, I would say there is no right time as such when you can start your own practice. Whenever you are ready for practice, you are ready for practice. And one advice I would like to give to all young chartered accountants who want to be in practice is that uh, have a brief stint with large firms where you want to develop your own specialization. Like, for example, if you want to develop your specialization in forensic audits, so have this experience of forensic audit service line through a large firms, so that you will be able to understand what are the standard practices, how a particular deliverable is given by this large firm, how they are developing their clients, how they are giving services to the client, how they are presenting their reports to the client. And once you have the detailed understanding of all these things through large firms, maybe you will be ready for having your own practice. But earlier the better, I would say, because when you become kind of habitual to a certain paycheck at the end of month, becomes difficult to start from scratch and you know project your cash flows and manage your cash flows. So it becomes difficult at certain stage. But nevertheless, if you are ready to have your own practice, you are ready to have your practice. And most importantly, since there are a lot of changes happening, like AI is coming, blockchain is there, in terms of technology, we as a generation will be experiencing so many different things over the next 5, 10, 15 years. uh, so I think investing in right technology, investing in right uh, human resource, investing in right subscriptions, which will enable you to adapt to these new changes which are there, that will help you to develop a good CA practice in terms of preparing yourself for or becoming a large firms over next 5, 10 years.
Amazing. And if you were 22, 23 today, okay, would you start your journey again with a CA firm or would you see some other opportunities? If you could highlight those as well.
Okay, very interesting. I actually never thought if I could start my CA career as a 22, 23-year old in 2023. Uh, I'm not sure because I had this passion of audit when I started studying about CA course. So for me, it was always more of a audit oriented things which I loved doing, be it internal audit, statutory audit, or forensic audit to that matter, or even banking audit. I always loved doing banking audit. So for me, it was always a kind of audit thing which I would have started again. Probably, I would have started my articleship from forensic audits if I had to start from today instead of statutory audit, because my understanding is that over years and years, when uh, automation is happening, it is more of a data analytics and forensic accounting and forensic auditing that will prevail over next 10, 15 years as a matter of giving a good service line. So if I had to start again, I would start with forensic auditing.
Okay, okay, but you would definitely start your CA firm. I guess that's your passion towards the profession, right? And towards what
Yes,
you're doing. It's not just about the money and about quick growth. You're genuinely, you know, keen on this, which very few people are, to be very honest, because it's a very different world, right? Today, you
true.
can become a billionaire in less than
Uh,
5 years.
I had opportunity 6 months back to kind of having interaction with a school going kids of 8, 9, and 10 standard about introducing them to different career opportunities in commerce side. So when I presented them about professional courses like chartered accountant, cost accountant, or company secretaries, they were not very keen to evaluate those professional opportunities. The question which a young chap asked me was, how can we become investment bankers?
Yep.
So that was the kind of thinking which I could see that new generation is having, is to go into investment banking. And interestingly, I asked him, why do you want to be an investment banker? What do you know about investment banking? So he could actually correlate to some film star that this was the character in some film, and this is something which I liked in that film. That is why I want to be an investment banker.
Oh, interesting. There should be more films on practicing CA firms. So maybe.
True.
But yeah, there are a lot of CA firms today, a lot of partners like in the age group of 27, 28. They're just, after all the cost, all the expenses, they're just having like what, 30 lakhs for themselves, because this takes time, right? It takes time to build the practice. And companies are paying a lot more today, right? Like companies are paying a lot more. 30 lakhs is still nothing after putting a lot of efforts, because it takes a lot of efforts. Running a practice is a lot of efforts with not
Yes.
that much significant multiplier effect in terms of reward, right? There's no multiplier impact.
Unless you are having a passion to have your own CA firm or to be a practicing chartered accountant, I think more and more people as number states are going into industry rather than having their practices.
Yep. Or they're starting their own consulting advisory or outsourcing or offshoring, whatever.
True.
So yeah. So yes. So Akshay, I mean, thank you so much. It was a very insightful conversation. For the first time, I really understood the process, what happens. Okay, and this will help a lot of other folks who want to do something similar, or who have not thought about it. So many people, I never thought about a CA firm merger till I saw, Kirtane and Pandit, the three firms merges with them. So I was like, hey, that's a great opportunity, right? You can also have
Right.
a short-term goal, and then you could merge with a firm or get it yourself acquired. It's a new
Correct.
world. So, Akshay, thank you so much for the time, and it was very knowledgeable. You answered every question. We'll make an article out of it. We'll post the videos. We'll make it into bite sizes. So those who have missed it or who want to, understand a little more about it, they will be able to get a hold of it.
It
So
was
yes,
my pleasure to be on the Finance Story show, and I hope I was able to clarify most of the things about this merger thing.
no, absolutely you are, and I'm really thankful to you for like making the time. Thank you so much, and all of you watching. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Akshay, reach out to us, and really happy to answer your questions or whatever it is. So yeah, thank you so much, Akshay. Thanks everyone. Thank you. Bye. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.